Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It has been an emotional couple of weeks for Disney park fans, specifically at Walt Disney World due to the closure of Muppet Vision 3D, Muppets Courtyard, and now the truly tragic closure of the Rivers of America at Magic Kingdom. The videos of fans singing Rainbow Connection before Muppet Vision 3D's final show, and now guest and cast members waving goodbye to the riverboat. Truly heartbreaking stuff, and really makes me hope Disney knows what they're doing. But since Disney park fans have been through a lot lately, I think we need some hope, some good news, something to look forward to, and that's what I'm hoping to provide today, because now that we're well into the summer, it is time we start talking more seriously about this year's D23. Typically, major D23 events take place every other year in Anaheim, while smaller, more intimate Destination D23s, as they're called, take place in the off years at Walt Disney World. This year, it is Walt Disney World's turn, but things are a little different this time around because Disney has been hyping the biggest East Coast D23 yet. And with so many projects underway at Walt Disney World, this makes sense, and it means we have the potential for more news than usual, as well as opening dates, concept art, and details about all the various lands and new additions currently underway. So you are watching Probably a Disney, and today I'm revealing my predictions and expectations for 2025's Destination D23 at Walt Disney World. And stick around, because when I get to Hollywood Studios, I have more rumors and reports about what Imagineering may have in store for Animation Courtyard to share with you. So for this D23 prediction video, I'm only going to focus on Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, and Walt Disney World. I know that the international parks are going to get some attention as well at D23, and we'll probably get more news about Disneyland Abu Dhabi, but since I can't speak on the international parks with as much authority and confidence, I'm going to keep things stateside. And I'm going to begin with the resort that started it all, Disneyland. Walt Disney: A Magical Life, the first ever Walt animatronic show, is debuting at Disneyland this month for the park's 70th anniversary. And if it's a hit, I think it's going to get a lot of attention at Destination D23, because how does it not? And while the real test is how guests will respond upon its debut, I have to think Disney is considering bringing the show to Disney World after an exclusive Disneyland run. So if it's a success and it gets the buzz Disney is hoping for, I predict we'll get some hints about Walt coming to the East Coast. Now over at Disney California Adventure, construction for Avengers Campus's two new attractions, Avengers Infinity Defense and Start Flight Lab, are already well underway. Disney dedicated a lot of focus to these two attractions relatively recently, so I'm not expecting any bombshells at this D23 about these rides. However, I do think some small updates and new details are possible, especially since Marvel Studios is currently filming Avengers Doomsday, and Imagineering may have already filmed some cameos and audio for Infinity Defense. And here's a bonus prediction for you. If Marvel Studios is the Fantastic Four First Steps, which is releasing in theaters on July 25th, is a box office smash, I bet we get Herbie, the robot who's expected to appear at Disneyland's Tomorrowland. I bet we get him at D23. But of course, I do think that will hinge on just how well the movie performs. Now, of all my Disneyland D23 predictions, I am most confident we get some details about Disney California Adventure's Pandora, the world of Avatar, especially now that its location in the park has been revealed, and since Avatar 3 is coming to theaters later this year. And I know that the Avatar land is based on Avatar 2, The Way of Water, but having a movie coming out and talking about the land, it's still good synergy. Plus, Disney World fans are already familiar with the Pandora-inspired land, making them a great test audience for Imagineers. And I think there's some interest amongst Disney World fans to see how Imagineering creates another, yet different Pandora, the world of Avatar. Next, I think some details concerning Disneyland's new parking structure and transportation hub are possible, but I'm gonna hold off making it one of my predictions. And this is because Disney just rolled out info about this in June, and I'm not 100% confident since I don't know how much more they have to share, apart from maybe making reference to it. I am, however, confident that we will get more news about Disney California Adventure's Coco boat ride now that its location has been confirmed, and maybe breaking ground ahead of schedule and as early as this fall. So that's what I'm expecting and predicting for Disneyland's D23 reveals. Disney may surprise us with more. I personally hope that they do. But since this D23 event is based at Walt Disney World, and with so many projects underway there, I'm keeping my expectations reasonably lower for Disneyland. But now, let's leave California for the high seas with what I'm predicting Disney will announce for Disney Cruise Line. And I'll be honest here, this one's a bit of a wild card. So I am confident we will get news, whether in a panel or on the show floor, about the Disney Destiny and the Disney Adventure, because both ships go in the water in November and December respectively this year. The question I have, however, is how Disney is going to approach its massive order of additional new ships amidst a season where there have been below average bookings and seemingly decreased interest in Disney Cruise Line. So, will Disney slow down their turbocharged expansion of the fleet? Can they even slow it down? And how much attention will they devote to it at D23? All questions I am curious to learn the answers to. I am going to predict, though, that we do get the reveal and theme of at least one new ship during the parks panel, but likely more. And if I had to make a big swing prediction for Disney Cruise Line this year, it would be the announcement of a new island. Granted, this is a long shot, I know, but if Disney is committed to all of these new ships, they're going to need more places to go. And let's be honest here, Lighthouse Point did not hit with fans and guests as expected. I think it would be smart if they went a different direction, like a water park style destination like other cruise lines. But again, I think that all hinges on just how confident and committed Disney is to expanding the fleet. All right, it is now time that we talk about Walt Disney World, and you should probably buckle up for this one because there's a lot to cover, and I'm going to start at Epcot. And that's because despite Epcot's redo supposedly having been complete with the opening of Community Core Hall, it has continued to have new projects, from Geo 82, that adults-only lounge, to the Cannon Pavilion DVC showroom, to Test Track 3.0, with the latter set to open to the public on July 22nd. So at the moment, Epcot doesn't have anything else on the docket, at least publicly. However, there have been rumors that Imagineering is circling a redo of Journey into Imagination with Figment. And I've been cautious about this since we have heard this story many times before. But if it's truly in the pipeline this time, what better place to announce it than a Destination D23 into a specific Disney World fan base? So I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to make it one of my predictions. Next up, let's talk about Animal Kingdom, because from the design of the marketing and promotion for D23, I believe Animal Kingdom's Tropical Americas is going to be a main focus of this event, and understandably so, since construction has been underway since January of this year. I fully predict we're going to get a lot of info about the Encanto attraction, especially since details are already beginning to leak out, including Bruno's role in the ride and in the queue. I'm thinking we're going to get new concept art, a model of the ride vehicle, which we have not seen yet, and potentially even a little video showing effects and show scenes. In addition, I'm also confident we get more info about Tropical America's Indiana Jones attraction, replacing Dinosaur next year, and how it will be different from the Indiana Jones Adventure attraction at Disneyland. Guests need to know that these are different. They need to know there is a distinction between the two. In addition to getting new concept art, I think we could, and I emphasize could, get a preview of the ride's animatronics. Plus, I expect confirmation and reveals about the playground / splash pad we've been expecting for this land, and what Imagineering has cooked up for Restaurantosaurus. Personally, I am hoping for some indie influences to make their way into this quick service dining space, and letting Dinoland USA's archaeology dig site theme live on, while also offering a little bit of what we can find at Disney Springs' Jock Lindsay Hangar Bar, but we'll see what Imagineering has in store. Finally, I think news and an opening date is likely for Zootopia Better Zootgether, the new 3D show replacing It's Tough to Be a Bug Inside the Tree of Life. My money all along has been on a November opening date to coincide with Zootopia 2's theatrical release. We'll see if I'm right about that, and I also predict we'll get a song preview from the show, a synopsis, and maybe even new storyboards and clips from the finished product itself. Moving over to Hollywood Studios, we have a lot of ground to cover here, so let's start small and work our way up. First, we know that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, coming to theaters in 2026, will bring with it a new overlay for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And I've talked about this in the past, but it's expected to enhance the less popular jobs aboard the Falcon right now, one of which will feature an interaction with Grogu. We're also going to get some familiar places in that galaxy far, far away in this overlay, and I'm thrilled about that. That is going to help remedy one of Galaxy's Edge's biggest weaknesses, in my opinion. And I think both of those aspects will be discussed and previewed at D23, especially since the overlay will be coming to both Disney World and Disneyland the day the movie arrives in theaters, which is May 26, 2026. Now, a big question is whether Disney will announce other new additions and possibly an expansion to Galaxy's Edge. At the moment, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to predict it. Imagineering has enough on their plate at Hollywood Studios already. But could they? Especially since that Monsters, Inc. Door Vault coaster is already bumping out the borders of the park? It's possible. Speaking of which, we know that Monstropolis is going to get attention at D23. It has to. But I do wonder how Disney is going to handle it, since the loss of the Muppets is still very fresh. And apart from the Door Vault coaster, park guests just don't appear to be as excited about this land. I think a safe bet is confirmation of what that Mike Wazowski show replacing Muppets Theater is going to be, and just a ton of attention on the Door Vault coaster, and maybe a preview of its main show scene. But it's going to be a difficult needle to thread, and I doubt Josh D'Amaro or Bruce Vaughn or anyone at Imagineering is wanting to risk getting booed on stage, so we'll just have to see. But due to this, I think Disney will want to lean into its future plans for the Muppets, specifically Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster. I'm predicting pre-show information, confirmation about the ride's musical playlist, and a look at the ride exterior and its courtyard space, as well as an opening date, since Rock Roller Coaster is only going to be open throughout the rest of 2025, and this overlay is supposed to debut sometime in 2026. A question, though, is whether the Muppets will play any part into rumors of Disney connecting this whole area of the park to Animation Courtyard. There have been reports about that, but there have also been rumors about Animation Courtyard that have changed a bit since we last talked, and I want to get into those with you. So according to the rumor mill, Disney has been considering multiple concepts for Animation Courtyard and the Star Wars Launch Bay building. One potentially may involve the Muppets, as I mentioned, while the other has to do with this whole area's original theme and focus, and that was animation. For those who don't know, the Star Wars Launch Bay building used to be called the Magic of Disney Animation, and it connected to a branch of the working Walt Disney Animation Studios. It was here that animators worked on parts of The Lion King, Mulan, Brother Bear, and Lilo and Stitch, and guests used to be able to see animators working on these films and get some info about those coming movies. I vividly remember cast members telling us about Lilo and Stitch and how it was going to be about a girl who finds an alien and there's going to be Elvis music. And at the time, it sounded very different for Disney. But I don't know if that kind of idea is what Disney is looking to go back to. But several things in recent weeks have me thinking that animation as a focus may be what they're leaning towards, because in addition to Disney doing a little animation special event here for Cool Kids Summer, Disney recently gave a video tour of the old animation studio that now houses offices, including the Disney Parks blog, by the way, and it talked all about its history and how it's still in the park, it's still here. Around that same time, Jared Bush, who is the CCO of Walt Disney Animation, he gave an interview where he confirmed that he loves 2D animation and he has 2D artists working on some amazing things right now. So are all of these animation-centric stories connected? I'm not sure, but I think it's worth keeping an eye on, and I do predict we will get that announcement about the future of Animation Courtyard and Star Wars Launch Bay at D23, whatever it turns out to be, because there are multiple contenders. But at this moment, as I'm recording and talking with you, I think my money is on the animation theme. Last but never least, it's time to talk about the Magic Kingdom, because we have two massive projects in the works that literally began construction today at the time I'm recording, and that is Piston Peak and Villains Land. Since Disney has been leaning hard into Villains Land since last year's D23, and given the general unpopularity of replacing the Rivers of America, I think this trend needs to continue, and so I'm predicting Disney is going to give us as much info as they can at this point about Villains Land. I think new concept art is a given, even if it's only art of one thing or one element, and I think we'll get more details about the second attraction and possibly a themed dining experience, and maybe even an official name for the land if Villains Land isn't what Disney is committed to. As for Piston Peak, like Monstropolis at Hollywood Studios, I think Disney has to be concerned about the crowd response to this, so I'm expecting they'll rely on this new concept art pretty hard and continue to do what they did when they first rolled it out, and that is focus on the natural elements, the water effects, the snow-capped mountains, and the trees. As for the rally race attraction itself, I think Disney needs to show us something different and more than what they have in the past. They need to sell it to this crowd of Disney World locals. But unless they've really gone back to the drawing board, unless they have something totally new to reveal, I don't know if they can do that. So I'm going to predict that unless they have something really surprising to reveal, I think they're going to steer away, no pun intended, from the rally race as much as possible. I'm also going to predict that we finally get news about what that second attraction might be, because if it's good, that may help take some heat off of the rally race ride. Finally, for Magic Kingdom, I think we'll get an opening date for Beak and Barrel, that Pirates of the Caribbean family lounge, if we haven't already got the opening date ahead of D23. I also expect a few additional details about the redo coming to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Real quick, I do have a bonus round of predictions for you that apply to Walt Disney World just outside the parks, and I am talking about that rumor of a potential new resort area and the expansion of the Skyliner. This would be an announcement tailor-made for a Walt Disney World crowd. My only hesitation in predicting it is that I don't know Disney's timeline for this construction project, and it may be too early to reveal, but I do think it's definitely possible. And along those lines, I am very confident, like 100% confident, that Disney will pull back the curtain finally on Lakeshore Lodge, which is making major progress next to the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. Lakeshore Lodge is that new DVC property that Disney started before COVID and then had to pause and then resumed the project with a different name, but Disney has told us very little about it. And I'm beginning to wonder if that's the reason why, if D23 is the reason why they haven't shared anything, because they're waiting until this event. So I'm excited to see what Disney has been keeping under wraps and if any changes have been made following its pandemic-related delay. And of course, its name change. Is that Tiana's restaurant still in the works? What are those A-frame cabins going to look like? And did they make any changes to the lobby? We'll have to see. But there you have it. Those are my Destination D23 predictions and expectations, along with a little rumor or two tossed in there. But what do you think? Is my list too ambitious? Is it not ambitious enough? And what are you most hoping Disney announces during D23 this year? Please let me know in the comments. I like to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed today's video, if Disney Park news and analysis is your thing, I would so appreciate if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I'll be following all the news leading up to D23 and will be on the ground during the event, breaking everything down. Also, I have opened up channel memberships to share additional news and rumors and general Disney Park discoveries apart from these videos. I've got some big plans in store for over there, so I would love to have you along. But in the meantime, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a magical day.